and begin with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mrs. McLean, may I have a roll call, please?
Yes. Mrs. McGinnis.
Here.
Mr. Need.
Here.
Mrs. Egan. Here. Mrs. Crane.
Here.
Ms. Catalina. Mr. Heyer.
Here.
Mrs. Horst.
Here. Mrs. Catalina sends her apologies. She already had travel plans when our meeting schedule was announced, and this is an earlier meeting in the month than usual. This meeting is a meeting of the Board of Education in public for the purpose of conducting the school district's business and is not to be considered a public community hearing. There is time for public participation during the meeting as indicated in agenda items 3 and 9. Item 2 is approval of the consent agenda. May I have a motion, please?
I move the Board of Education approves the consent agenda as presented.
Support.
Any questions or discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion carries. Item 3 is citizens' request to address the board. You are given 2 opportunities to address the board. Under item 3.1, you can request to address the board at any topic that's on tonight's agenda. Under item 9, you are welcome to address the board on any topic. When making comments, please state your name and address and direct your comments to Kelly Horst, Board President. Each person may speak for up to 2 minutes. For established procedures, the board will not respond to questions or interact with the speaker during public comment. Calling out individuals in this forum is inappropriate. Personal attacks will not be tolerated. Anyone who engages a criticism or a personal attack of an individual, whether by name or any other identification, will be stopped and prevented from doing so. So please keep your remarks and your attention directed to the full board when addressing the board during public comment. Mrs. McLean, did we have anyone sign up to address the board?
No, we did
on
not.
the agenda? Okay. Please know that you can request to address the board on any topic during item 9 at any point during the meeting this evening. That sign-up sheet will remain open until we get to item 9. Item 4 is superintendent update. I'll turn it over to Dr. Ryan.
Thank you, President Horst. Well, good evening, everyone, and welcome as we enter into August and that final approach. I think somebody once called August before school as kind of an endless days of Sundays, one after another, as you get ready to come back and you get that feeling that things are about ready to roll again. And I think everything points in that direction in Clarkston. I appreciate all those that are able to attend this evening. We're very excited to be welcoming some new administrators to our team. And we're also going to be entertaining with the board a possible push towards a fall election for a school bond, which will do amazing things for our school district. In addition, probably the first time in several years that I can recall that we had a fairly normal summer. We're doing things like hiring teachers and making sure that we have all the right supplies and looking at everything we need to do to get a great school year off to start. And by all accounts, I can share with our community, those listening in this evening, that we are all ahead full. Tremendous amount of excitement starting to brew behind the scenes here in Clarkston, and we're very excited about pushing forward next week when we get to officially welcome our new teachers as part of their orientation, and in quick succession, we get our entire staff back, which from what I've seen, I think we're going to have the most awesome starting week back that we've had since I've been in Clarkston schools, and I think we try to outdo and excel every year. This year is going to be a real bang to start off, so it's going to be pretty exciting. So with that, look forward to pushing through this evening and start the celebration.
Thank you, Dr. Ryan. Item 5 is presentation items. We have one presentation tonight, our one-to-one device report. And we'll welcome Lori Benezak and Angela Harrison.
So we are in the second full year of our one-to-one initiative, and we felt like it was a good time to give it a report of where we're at in regards to devices and what it looks like in Clarkston Community Schools. So first I want to give a snapshot of where we are with devices. We have iPads in our district. The iPads are used for our young 5s through first grade students. We also have our elementary teachers that have an iPad for their resource. So they can mimic and share resources with students and also use some of the applications that would help them in the classroom, for example, like Seesaw. We also have iPads, a good number of iPads for special projects. We had an art teacher at Clarkston Elementary received a grant, and we were able to provide 10 iPads with the Procreate app, which the students created wonderful art designs. So we try to keep enough so we have those special cases so we can keep doing more instructional technology and creative things in the classroom. So what you see here is the breakdown on the numbers of the students and teachers that have iPads. I do want to note, if you look at the iPad models, we have 4 different generations right now. The Generation 5 is the older model. We have over 600 of those, and we're they're still working great, but at any time Apple can say, we're not going to update anymore, and so that might be a situation where we would have to purchase more. The Chromebook snapshot. We have over 7,400 Chromebooks in this district. It's a combination from student Chromebooks and teacher Chromebooks. 2nd through 12th grade have the Chromebooks. And you notice we have a lot of different models. A lot of reasons for that. When COVID hit, we basically pulled every single Chromebook out of our carts and we dispensed them out. So we had a lot of different types of Chromebooks. We were standardized for Dell and Samsung. We felt those have been the most robust Chromebooks that have lasted the longest. And so we kind of stick with those models. We were fortunate to purchase through E-Rate, correct? In January, new HP Chromebooks for teachers. When COVID hit and the teachers were working virtually, they really needed a device with bigger screens, faster processor, and so we were able to receive E-Rate funds to be able to give that to our teachers. That freed up over 500 Samsung 4 Chromebooks, so we have those right now to be able to give back to those students. So it was a really good thing that happened, so we can try to reduce the number of purchasing of devices. But again, you see the snapshot, and again, a lot of these devices, the Samsung 3, the Dell 3120s and 3180s, are end of life as of June, which means they're not updating anymore. We still can use the devices, and we still plan on using them as loaners. So if a student broke their device, we will give them a loaner, but it will be an older model. It still will work, but just for that temporary fix. So Chromebook repairs. We do have cases on the Chromebooks. Some students took them home, mostly secondary took the Chromebooks home. Some of the elementaries felt we probably should keep them in classrooms to try to keep them safer, but there are some classrooms that did allow, depending on projects and grade levels and responsibility. But you kind of can see the snapshot of where the repairs kind of fall. And we are working this year with the principals with some really awesome strategies to reduce that number, and I think we're really excited about that number is going to shrink. So this past year we had about 859 that we were either lost or damaged. It could have been from broken screens, keyboard, ports. They would stick a lot of things in their ports of different, and it would just ruin the port, which would be the USB, which they needed, the charging port. So those expenses really definitely add up. The iPad repairs are a little bit different. They're young 5s through first grade. The iPads predominantly stayed in the classroom. They didn't use them as often, so 16 is pretty good. but the iPad is pretty expensive to replace or repair, and you kind of see the breakdown at the elementary level. So we're just kind of examining these numbers and seeing how we can be a little bit more careful and give a little bit more education to the students and the teachers. Our instructional technologists are wonderful, so we're going to really keep continually hitting hard about device management and device care. We definitely do in the beginning of the school year, but now we feel like we need subtle reminders throughout the year just to make sure that we keep our devices in good working condition. So just some types of damage, which is probably not surprising, but the broken screen is pretty much pretty common. And then any mechanical defect, you know, there's something wrong that is not, it was out of our hands. It's just the make of the model and something happened. We can send it back to the vendor and it will get fixed. So that's a good thing. But sometimes it takes a long time to figure out, was it the child or was it the device? So that's pretty much the breakdown on repairs. Chargers. So our chargers, you can see there, the Chromebook charger is just one charger. So it's a block and it's all connected together. So when you replace it, it's $20. But the iPad, of course, Apple is a little bit different. You have to buy the block, and then you have to buy the cable, and each one is $20 each. So it's a little bit different scenario. So it's $40 to replace a full charger for the iPad. And so we had a lot of missing chargers, which we all know. We have that drawer in our kitchen, has all the chargers in it. And I mean, we would get some crazy ones back, but it just wasn't the one. So we kept encouraging, please look, and hopefully maybe they'll come back also in the fall, because once they left, you know, they could be at home. But a lot of them were damaged on the, you know, on the ends. You know, they either shut the drawer on it, you know, a heavy book might have bent it. So that's roughly the numbers between 941 of either lost or damaged chargers. So last year we were able to offer a technology protection plan. This was optional for families. We offered $20 per year if you just wanted to pay for one student. We also offered a family rate, so $35 for 2 or more students. So that it was a pretty good deal. Protect throughout the whole entire year. The first claim, no cost at all. So if no questions asked, we would take it and we would repair it. Second claim, pay for the repair. And well, I can talk more about that. I think we're going to change that up this year. And then third claim would be a full replacement or repair. So we felt like that second and third was kind of the same thing. So I think this year what we're going to do, the second claim, 50% of the repair. And then the third claim would be full repair. So 361 families only pay for the individual, so just one student. And then the family purchase was 386. So we did have some money there to purchase cases and chargers and when we got low, and we can use that fund, and hopefully that number will increase this year. We're going to highly encourage the technology protection plan. We're making it really easy for them. We have it on eFunds. They can log into the eFunds just like when they put money on their lunch for their students. It's going to be on there for them. So we're trying to make it really, really easy and convenient for them. So this is a little big number. So because of not every family participate in the technology protection plan, you know, there are fees associated with if they didn't have the protection plan and it needed to be repaired, a broken screen, $75, you know, anything like that. We would use the Destiny Resource Manager, and that's how we kept track of all the fines for the students. It's the same system we use for books. So when books get returned, they put fines on it. So it's been a great system for us to use to keep everything organized. So this is where we're sitting today. We looked up the number. So we have a total fines there. They only had 5,900 pay, which again, in how we notify people. We send a letter at the end of the school year telling them with very good detail, because our media techs put great detail in those reports. And then we do one more notification, and that's pretty much all we can do. We will leave it on their account. It will kind of follow them up to their senior year, which we've had 100% pay this year. Seniors paid all their tech fines, which was awesome. So, yeah, everything, yeah. So we're gonna keep it on there. We definitely work with people. Payment plan, we're gonna highly suggest a protection plan, especially for repeat offenders. So just, I wanted to show those numbers because it is there, and we're going to try to figure out how we can, work with the parents and try to reduce that number down. Do you want to talk about this? No. You want me to? Okay. So what we're looking at with the numbers and with some of our old devices that are out of end of life is looking at purchasing new Chromebooks for second grade, which is around, the enrollment's around 600, hopefully it hasn't gone up, and then 10th grade, 600. So that would be our new fleet of Chromebooks that are going in. And I did find a better protective case for the Samsung 4. We had the plastic ones, we had the C logo, which I love, but they weren't really protecting those Samsung Chromebooks. So we did find a more heavier and sturdier on the edges. If it did drop, it would protect it a lot better, and I think that's what happened with those broken screens in most cases. So this is what we're looking for in our need to continue to be one-to-one, and this is probably going to be something that we want to do every year as we look at continuing this one-to-one program, because things, again, get broken, lost, or needs to be updated. So we do not do this alone. The media techs are wonderful. They are our first line of defense. The student goes to the media tech. They kind of try to figure out, okay, is this really broken? So they do a lot of troubleshooting before they even send in a device repair form. Once they do that, they send it over to us. Vani and Natea will look at it. They will look at it again, troubleshoot, make sure it is broken, and then they start working on it or trying to do a claim to see if the extended warranty will cover it. Some things are, some things aren't. So it takes a team. Not only does this team do this, but we have close to 10 management systems that help with this one-to-one program. I mentioned the device, Destiny Resource Manager, iPad management system, the Google management system, GoGuardian, Synergy. I mean, we're all trying to create systems so it makes it easier, especially on the media tech's end, but for us to hurry up and look at the device, get it out, and have it come back so we can get back in the hands of students. That is it, unless you want to add anything. No.
Any questions or comments? And I know this was sent to me. I came back late, and had some
Right.
questions, but I know there's some communication that goes out to families in terms of a handbook, right? Sort of explaining the
Yes.
The insurance and kind of a contract, I guess, if you will, right? So
Yes.
So families are aware of really the partnership and the expectations, and so they aren't really ever surprised.
No, so,
When
well.
this comes home and say, something's broken, oh, I'm getting a fine, what does that mean, right?
So, let me speak to that. Last year, we used a Google form with the handbook that got pushed out to all the parents. This year, we're going to be using, and I worked with Holly Johnson, we're using the online registration. And so now when they go and register online, they will see the handbook, they'll see all the information and agree there. That will then, once they do that, that will tie into our Destiny Resource Manager, and the media techs will see, oh, Johnny's parents already agreed and understand that this is devices for them. All the information is on there for the Technology Protection Plan 2 and the eFunds link. So all that information is there The one other thing that we're going to improve on this year, we're going to look at the fines monthly. So we're going to meet with the media tech every month, look at the fines, talk to the media tech, maybe talk to the principal, and find out a little bit more about the family. What's going on? How can we help them? And make sure that it's more on a timely basis the fine letters are going out. So it isn't a surprise. Because I think it was a little bit this year just because we didn't have time to do that monthly. We did it at the end of the school year, which, you know, a lot of people don't remember what happened in February. So we're trying to be a little bit more, use more communication better this school year with the fines and devices. And the insurance has to be optional. So by law, we can't force families, you know, to purchase insurance or anything like that. So that portion has to be optional. You can, you know, have them pay the fines for repairing the device and things like that. But even the ones where you partner with a company, like some school districts partner with a company, and they have that company kind of facilitate that, all of that is optional for the families as well.
Ms. Green?
Yeah, I remember getting the insurance letter earlier. I have he was in 7th grade last year, Walker, and actually part of this question is for you. And I just remember thinking, well, why do I need this? It wasn't as clear to me as maybe it could be. Like, here are what the fines will be if this, and this. If you do our insurance, you know, this is, I just felt like it could have maybe been explained a little bit better, and I just remember it getting kind of shoved aside with some of the first week of school stuff.
Right.
And then I didn't do it.
We have it in the handbook, and I see it's probably like on page 3, so
Right.
maybe something more
Early, because
okay.
people are skimming, people are,
Right.
you know, moving
Okay.
fast. But my quick question is, as I was reading through this weekend, I actually have a fine that I need to pay, and it's sitting
We
on
do
my
take
desk.
e-funds,
Right.
cash check.
I will pay that. But because I got the letter, and I don't remember it coming home at the end of school, but again, I have a 7th grader, I don't know that I'm
Yes,
seeing
yes,
everything,
right.
right? But I did get the one in the mail.
Yes, we mailed
a week
it,
or
yep,
2 ago.
yep.
And it said it was a lost case for his Chromebook. And so I said, Bennett, you know, where's your case? He said, we all took our cases off. Nobody wanted their case on in the middle school, and I lost it in September. So I don't know if that was a thing. Was that a thing? Was my
Not really. Some kids did, but this year we're gonna incorporate it into our cost lessons, which
Okay.
we've never done before. They're gonna sign like a sheet, like how they're gonna take care of it, like they take care of their cell phones.
Yeah.
And just kind of be more responsible.
Yeah.
We're gonna teach how
Right.
to use these devices, but instead of just handing it to them.
Well, and it's funny as he's telling me this, and I'm like, you know, accusing him, no, and then I'm looking at, oh no, it's middle school and junior high that had the most. I mean, that's the age, right?
It's the age, yeah.
So, just my experience, I will pay my fine.
Thank you.
Yes. So, thank you.
Yeah, so a lot of education and, you know, more than just one time, you know, just continue those reminders, especially after big breaks like Christmas and spring break. We need to keep reminding about the education. We just assume that, you know, after elementary, when we're giving them all the education, it would stick with them, but we all need subtle reminders for that.
This is a learning process. You know, it's new for us, and there's no one-size-fits-all. You know, we can't do the same thing that Warren does, or Pontiac does, or, you know, Lake Orion does, because it's all different. They have different devices, they have a different technology team, they have different families, they have different communities, and it's always evolving. You know, it's kind of a living, breathing program that we're always trying to make better.
Mrs. Horst, thank you. I am just wondering, you know, we do have the parent portal online where parents can check lunch accounts, and I'm wondering, is there another field we could possibly put in there for something like this so parents would see it? I mean, I would think they're monitoring lunch accounts pretty frequently. I don't know if there's that opportunity, so it's in front of them more than once
Right.
and not just perhaps an email or a piece of paper coming home.
Right.
I don't know, it's just an idea. But
We
what
can
do we
check.
do with textbooks at the end of the year? How do we communicate if a book is not turned in? How are we doing that?
Kind of the same way. I think they do that monthly, though. That's why we're kind of using that model.
Yeah.
I think, like with books that are not
Yeah.
returned, they push out fines monthly, and then they keep reminding them every month. Um, so that's kind of why we want to take that model on, because it works when you're continually
Okay.
nagging them to bring it back. So yeah, so I can definitely check on that. That makes sense. We definitely were able to put information there for them to pay, but to do the reverse of the see what's going on, I can see if that is
Right.
doable.
It's been a while since my kids were in school, but we did not have like the ability to do, I don't remember having the ability to go online and put money in their student account that way. So I'm just wondering, that could be maybe a convenient way for some parents.
Right.
Right.
To
we
take
would
care of
use the
that?
e-funds for, the My School, account for them to be able to pay their fines
And they pay through lunch that way too,
insurance,
yeah.
to do that as well. It just doesn't give a running total on that system. It gives it in the Destiny system.
Anyway,
Just
just
something to
thought.
look at. Thank you for that.
I mean, the concern I think would be is if you have somebody with a device they're unable to use, are they gonna be disconnected or unable to do what they need to do academically? So I don't know, if the media text being right there in the buildings and being connected to these families is a way to, they obviously know these families and stay connected. That would be my only
Right.
concern here about, when I see these fines building up, that's my thought, is are these students not able to use these devices? If they have these fines, that to me implies
No,
broken
no,
or
we
lost.
still were able
Not
to,
taken devices
no.
from, or restricted
Yeah.
devices from any
I was just
Depending
thinking
on the
more things
case,
that were
though,
unusable.
right.
I mean, I don't see us out there taking things away as much
No,
as that to me
no,
implies things that
no.
are unusable. Am I making
Right.
a wrong assumption?
We have loaners.
Okay.
But also at the end of the day, it becomes, how many loaners do we keep?
Sure.
How much do we keep more for like the 6, 7, 8, 9 buildings, and sort of put more responsibility on the high schoolers to just say, hey, this is your third time, and now you gotta figure something out. And we're still kind of working through a lot of that stuff.
it is, I mean, it's case by case situations, especially if there's a student that has destroyed or broken a computer 4 times, then yeah, it's a different situation than someone, I forgot it at home, or I accidentally, So we try to make sure that they have a device. We use different strategies. Well, you need to leave it in the classroom then. Or you need to check it out from the media center and then check it back in before you go home. So we work with different strategies. So the education process keeps going, but we're still, trying to protect our devices so we can keep using them.
Well, like with everything, I think we handle everything very individualized and with,
Right.
A lot of care toward the needs of that student. So I
Yes.
appreciate that.
Yes, definitely.
Mrs. Horst.
And then the only other thing I wanted to mention too is the difference between the number of the 1,200 that we needed and the 1,104 that we're asking for. That's really kind of a supply chain issue. That's all we can get. So, we're gonna kind of try to make do with, what we kind of, figured it out.
Mr. Meyer?
I know when we started this last year, it was brand new to us, and I appreciate the exhaustive evaluation of what everybody else was doing and what options we had, and I think, we did the best we could at the time. We're doing the best we can right now, given now we have more data, and obviously the repeat situations, if somebody breaks it 4 times, right? I mean, that's an individual sort of, what help do we need here to get different results kind of a scenario. I appreciate that approach. I think it's really unfair of us collectively, if we get to this point next year, I would like to see a different approach based on what we know at that point, because you've got our media techs listed up here and a technology department, an instructional technology department that is thin, right? I mean, we're throwing a lot at you, and I appreciate everybody stepping up to the plate and doing what they need to do to get us through year 1 and now year 2. But like just shuffling this number of devices around, 7,500 devices, right? I mean, how hard is it to keep track of 6 or 8 in your house? And we're talking about 7,500 with that many people. I would love to investigate as we get into next summer, like, what does outsourcing look like? We have 1,000 extras, they break, we swap it, we send it somewhere, get it back. Like, what does that save us in terms of, personnel effort? Because I think anybody with no special training can move one device in place of another, right? I mean, when we're technically training people, you start to limit who can interact if you're troubleshooting and that kind of stuff. How do we do that? I mean, the other option is we hire more people, right? And I've got to think outsourcing is a cheaper way to handle repair. And I know other districts do some of that. There's some insurance they buy, but I would love to burden our families less with one more thing. Like what we're really collecting in insurance, I'd love to see what it's going to be this year, but it's like, it's peanuts in the grand scheme of things. Like, why are we jumping through all these hoops to collect, $20 grand when we're talking about a $300,000 bill, that we're investing in here? So I where my head is at is this is a great plan for this year. I want to simplify what our staff has to do and what we're throwing at our families going into year 3.
And some of that we did look at last year, and part of that was we did get a quote from our insurance company that the district would fund that insurance, right? And so the families would each go online, and sign up for the insurance per device. So if you got 4 kids, you're paying 4 times, right? And so you would sign up for that, and then the district would fund that. And it was about $400,000 a year for us to fund that. And just like with any insurance, and are you going to spend $400,000 on broken devices, or does it make more sense to spend that $400,000 on devices? It's just
and obviously looking at the numbers, we made the right decision, right? Because that was really expensive, in the grand scheme of things. And so as we go forward, I think having more data, I think we can look at ways to simplify how we deal with insurance. And maybe because we're sort of self-funding,
right,
even though it's not remotely close to covering it. We know what it's going to cost us anyway. In that case, maybe everybody gets one free pass. You lose it, there's a fee. I'm sure we could simplify as we go forward, but I think what we're doing is great for right now. I just want to think a little more long term as we get in one more school year's worth of data.
Just want to add on, I appreciate the comments from the entire board. It is a kind of a work in progress. Lori, Angela, and the team have put an amazing amount, as you highlighted, the sheer number of devices to collect, to assess, to repair, to get ready to put them out again is a Herculean effort. And I think especially not only on the human resources or the human capital side, we're going to need to evaluate, but obviously there's a larger ticket item, post-bond, that we need to look at to kind of keep the institution for one-to-one. I philosophically and pragmatically and practically believe in it. I think that we're in a time and an age where it's not just an extra thing. We need to teach our students how to use it properly, when to have it, not have it, how to use it as a springboard to move on to the rest of their lives, because it doesn't stop here. And I appreciate the board's support, and to me it's one of those collateral positive things over the last couple of years that we might not have pushed through without the old adage of necessity is the mother of invention, and I think we had a lot of that going along, and we are learning a lot. So I think it's not just Clarkston, but in a bigger pool of the state of Michigan, at least from what I hear from the greater groups, is that this is the conversations that we're having tonight are being repeated again and again. So you can all look forward to more information on that as we move into next year. And the good news is we're going to be ready to start school, and all kids are going to be outfitted, and we're going to make sure we take care of the equipment and them as we move in the year. Thank you.
The only other thing I'd like to mention is that, most one-to-one programs, when you look at devices, a failure repair rate of 10 to 15% is pretty average, and we fall right within those numbers. The more devices you have, 10% all of a sudden is, 800 devices, 900 devices, and you're thinking, well, it's only, 10%, but then you're like, whoa, it's 900 devices, but we are falling right within those numbers. So.
Big number. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, item 6 is action items, and we have several ahead of us this evening. 6.1 is approval of personnel changes. May I have a motion, please?
I move that the Board of Education approves the personnel changes as listed on the attached sheets.
Support.
Great, and I'm going to let Mr. Lucido talk for a few minutes. We have some new staff to introduce this evening, and welcome to our Carson Schools family.
Shouldn't we
Yep,
vote?
yes.
Shouldn't we vote on them before we introduce
you
them?
want to vote first?
I think it would be
Well, I
good
guess
just
we
to make
could.
sure we seal the deal.
I guess we should seal the deal first, then we'll officially welcome you to the Carson Schools family. Okay. Are there
That
any
works.
questions or discussion? Okay, all in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? The motion carries. Now, Mr. Lucido.
Now that it's official.
Okay,
Yeah.
now it's official. And Mr. Lucido, we'd be happy to have you introduce
Yes, thank you.
members of the Clarkson School.
You know, as Dr. Ryan stated, there's a lot of excitement around the start of the school year, and a lot of that is due to our new administrative teams at 3 of our secondary buildings. So I'm going to just go building at a time, and I'll just let those individuals say a few words about themselves. But first, I'd like to introduce John Bennick. He's a new principal at Clarkson Junior High. John was assistant principal at Sashbaugh Middle School for a number of years for us, so we're very excited for him. The new assistant principal at Clarkson Junior High School is Sarah Wasilk. Sarah's been promoted from Dean of Students at that building. And Amy Wade Tiffner is the new Dean of Students. And Amy Wade is coming over from Sashbaugh Middle School where she served as a counselor. So I'd like to invite them up to say a few words, and then we'll move on to the next building.
Thank you, Board of Education, Dr. Ryan, parents and students for this tremendous opportunity to lead Clarkson Junior High School into the future. I'd also like to thank my family, my wife Krista, and the 2 girls that I have, Georgia and Layla. Georgia wasn't feeling well, so they decided not to come with me. But I love their support, and they've been with me through this, through the thick and thin of it. And I'm really excited to have them right down the road from me at Clarkston Elementary, so they can walk to my building after their school day is over. So I'm very excited to serve the students, the phenomenal students and staff and families of this wonderful community. And finally, I want to thank a couple people. I want to thank Sarah Wasilk, my assistant principal, who's been at Clarkson Junior High School for about 7 years, 8 years, around there. And then Amy Wade Tiffner, who's going to be our new Dean of Students, who I worked with at Sashbaugh Middle School. And finally, I want to thank one of my best friends and mentor, Liz Walker, for providing me with the guidance today so that I can stand here in front of you and accept this position. So thank you.
Hi, I'm Sarah Wasilk. Thank you for the opportunity with this new job position. I'm really excited to start the school year and to give back to the community. My husband works here. My 3 children attend school here. I feel very fortunate to be in this position and just to give back. So thank you very much.
Hello, I'm Amy Wade Tiffner. Like Mr. Lucido said, I was at Sashbaugh Middle School as a counselor, so I'm really excited to continue my work as a Dean of Students at the Clarkson Junior High School, working with John Bennick, Sarah Wasilk. I have had the pleasure of working with all of the students I'll have at Clarkson Junior High the last couple of years, so I'm really excited to continue building relationships with the families and the students, so thank you.
And at Sashbaugh Middle School, Elizabeth Walker is remaining, staying with us as the principal. Our new assistant principal is Nicole Trasco. She's coming over from the high school where she served as the Dean of Students. And then our new Dean of Students at Sashbaugh Middle School is Jordan Stoyak, who served for a special education teacher with us at a number of sites in the district. So I'd like to invite Nicole and Jordan up.
Hi, I'm Nicole Trasco. I'm really excited for this opportunity. Thank you so much. When I was the 612 Science Subject Area Coordinator, I had the opportunity to work with the middle school teachers a lot, so it's really nice to be back in that building, getting to know some people again, getting to serve the school community in that manner. I loved my time at the junior high and also the high school, but I'm really looking forward to just serving the community in a different capacity, and I'm looking forward to it. Thank you very much.
Hi there, I'm Jordan Stoyak. I'm excited to serve as the new dean at Sashbaugh Middle School. I taught for 7 years at the high school as a special education teacher and 1 year at the middle school last year, so I'm excited to be able to stay at the middle school and continue to build relationships with the staff and the students and the community as a whole, and continue to work with Liz and now work with Nicole. I was a Clarkson grad, so I was very
it was very special to me to be able to come and be a special education teacher in Clarkson and come home. And now it means even more to be able to be in a leadership position. My wife, Allison, won Teacher of the Year last year. So I was in her shadow for a while. And our dog, Vinny, is also an employee here, too, as her service dog. So we have a lot of Clarkson ties, and I'm just happy to continue to serve here. So thank you.
And at the high school, we have one new employee. We're very excited. Kelly Sinison is joining us from Avondale. She was a teacher leader there. It's we've done a lot of promoting from within, so we're very, very excited to have Kelly with us. We think she's going to be a great fit with our district. And I must confess that we did not tell Kelly she had to speak tonight, so we're going to invite her up here, and so she can just acknowledge being part of our wonderful team here.
Hi. As John said, I'm joining you from Avondale. Everybody has been so welcoming. Like, every person I've bumped into, it's been great. So I just wanted to thank you for the opportunity to join this Clarkson family.
I was going to ask you to do one more thing for people in the audience and watching who may not be familiar with our administrative structure. Would you just very quickly kind of explain how these three positions work together? I mean, the Dean of Students may not be a title that people out there are familiar with.
Sure. So at the middle school and the junior high, we have a principal, and then we have an assistant principal who works under them, and then we have a Dean of Students. We transitioned the position. We used to be a behavior interventionist role, and I think it's been about 6 or 7 years now where we moved it into being a Dean of Students, so it's a true administrative role. They evaluate teachers. They very much do a lot of the functions of the assistant principal, but really focus on student discipline. And then at the high school, because of the size, we have a principal, we have 2 assistant principals, and then we have a Dean of Students. Okay? But thank you. We are very excited about this team. We've already started working with them because they're already engaged working on the 2022-2023 school year. So we're very excited. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Lucido. Welcome to all of the new positions. Welcome to you. We're so excited to have you all on board, and what a great leadership team. We know so many of you, and we're just so excited to have you serving our students. So thank you for being here tonight and letting us officially welcome you.
Hit the gavel.
Yes. All right. Thank you very much. And we certainly invite you to stay for the rest of our meeting. We have a whole bunch of action items here, but I'm happy to take like a 30-second pause if you want to scoot. We won't hold it against you. But if you want to stay and watch the board, you're welcome to, but we'll hold on.
Thank you, guys. Thank you very much.
I tried to sell it. All right, item 6.2 is approval of the purchase of emergency charts for the district. May I have a motion, please?
I move that the Board of Education approves the purchase of 950 emergency flip charts from Guest Communications for a total of $26,514.34 as presented.
Support.
Are there any questions or discussion from the board? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion carries. Item 3 is approval of one-to-one device purchases. May I have a motion, please?
I move that the Board of Education approves the purchase of 1,104 Samsung Chromebooks with Google Chrome management licenses for a total of $199,824 as presented.
Support.
Any questions or discussion from the board? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion carries. Item 6.4 is approval of Chromebook case purchases. May I have a motion, please?
I move that the Board of Education approve the purchase of 1,200 Chromebook cases from Sehi Computer Products, Inc. in the amount of $31,200 as presented.
Or any questions or discussion from the board? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? motion carries. Item 6.5 is approval of purchase of Gaggle software. May I have a motion, please?
I move that the Board of Education approve the purchase of Gaggle in the amount of $39,811.50 as presented.
Support.
Any questions or discussion from the board? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion carries. Item 6.6 is approval of purchase of facilities department vehicles. May I have a motion, please?
I move that the Board of Education approves the purchase of a 2022 Ford F-550 to Fox Ford in the amount of $79,628 in accessories, which include a salt spreader and snowplow to Bostic Truck Center, that in the amount of $15,412 as presented.
Support. I think I need to clarify that that is 6.6.1, is that correct?
Yes.
Yes.
That's correct.
Yes, okay, thank you. So that's 6.6.1. And there was support.
Yes.
All right, any questions or discussion? May I have a motion, or all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion carries. May I have a second motion for 6.6.2?
I move that the Board of Education approve the purchase of a 2022 Ford F-250 to Fox Ford in the amount of $51,960.
Support.
Any questions or discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion carries. Item 6.7 is approval of Safe Ed Security Officer's proposal. May I have a motion, please?
I move that the Board of Education approves the partnership between Clarkston Community Schools and Safe Ed as presented.
Support.
Questions or discussion from the board?
Madam President, I do have a couple questions.
Ms. McGinnis, go ahead.
I would just like to get some kind of overview of how we anticipate the intermingling of the security service employees along with our own officers, and how will they be dressed? Will they have a uniform so that our students can recognize their presence in our classroom and in our building, and just some general information, a little bit more information about how they'll work in the chain of command of the building also.
Okay. So first off, Safe Ed, it's a company that's providing services to some other Oakland County schools. It's mostly ex-law enforcement that have these roles, and what they're doing is monitoring hallways, bathrooms, where vaping's going on, fights are breaking out, and we plan on these individuals kind of being under the direction of the principal. But also, if you've been in our buildings and seen the liaisons or the liaison officers, especially at the high school, they're almost like a part of the administrative team there. So we're kind of anticipating these individuals as kind of like what our building aides are doing now with supervision, but also working directly with those administrative teams and under the direction of the liaison officer as well.
Does this lock us in for any time period?
It doesn't. In fact, they were almost reluctant because just with staffing, they don't have a full crew to bring to Clarkston schools to monitor our buildings with what we're looking for. But we wanted to form a relationship with this company, and I'm kind of hoping that just us posting these positions and this new contract being announced, maybe there's some people that are working for this company that are working in Southfield that might want the commute. So I'm hoping that we're able to hire at least one to start the school year. That's kind of where we're at. I don't anticipate them being able to fulfill the contract immediately.
And it's flexible to, what we're going to need and how we see it fit into the big picture with our third police liaison. I think we're just feeling more and more comfortable with extra sets of eyes, different aspects of our hallways, and not leaving anything unturned when it comes to the overall safety security package. So.
I will say too that I'm very pleased with the fact, I was aware that we were looking into this some months ago, but the fact that these are the sought out individuals are ex-police officers, have law enforcement background, have background working with our communities, have background working with issues of law enforcement. So I think that all of those criterias of this group of individuals we're looking to hire are definitely an asset for our building to provide another code of safety for both our teachers, our staff, and our students.
Any other questions or discussion from the board? Okay, a motion on the table. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries. Item 6.8 is approval of well pump electrical repairs at Bailey Lake Elementary. May I have a motion, please?
I move that the Board of Education approves the quoted work for the operation of Bailey Lake well pump system in the amount of $49,740 as presented.
Support.
Any questions or discussion from the board? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion carries. Item 6.9 is approval of the annual resolution regarding the school bond loan fund. May I have a motion, please?
I move that the Board of Education approves the resolution for participation in the school bond qualification and loan program per the attached resolution.
Support. Any questions or discussion from the board? This is an annual exercise for us, so it's one of those things we must do every year. All right, Mrs. McLean, may I have a roll call vote, please?
Yes. Mr. Heyer.
Yes.
Mrs. Egan.
Yes.
Mrs. Crane.
Yes.
Mrs. McGinnis.
Yes.
Mr. Need.
Yes.
Ms. Catalina. Mrs. Horst.
Yes. Motion carries. Item 6.10 is approval of resolution to call the 2022 election. May I have a motion, please?
I move that the Board of Education adopts the resolution to call the November 8th, 2022 bond election as presented.
Support.
So, board, as you know, we have studied this for, gosh, the better part of a year now, starting with the update of our facilities master plan, which has been part of our administrative and board oversight, certainly for as long as I've been on the board and as long as many of you have been on the board. The board has weighed in at every step of the way, which has been monthly at least for the last year, and our community has been able to follow along with that process and weigh in monthly as well. I think that getting to this point certainly follows and tracks with the facilities master plan. As you know, we have worked with the same partners that we worked with for the 2016 bond, updating the plan, evaluating the next steps as we have asked them to do. And at our last meeting, we were informed, of course, that Treasury approved our application. And so now it's up to us to the next step as to whether or not we want to put the question to the voters in terms of improving the things that we've decided we need to do to move our facilities plan forward. So I would entertain any other comments or questions or discussion from the board at this time before we vote as to whether or not to take that next step.
Madam President,
Ms. McGinnis.
as a 15-year board trustee, this conversation has been at the table since day one. And frankly, prior to my becoming a school board trustee, this was the spoken of master plan, multi-year, multi-approach that the administration has carried through bond proposal after bond proposal. Frankly, I'm extremely excited to be at this crossroad where we are now finally have the opportunity to make the necessary changes to Clarkson Junior High School for those students and those staff that work there. And I think this is extremely in line of commitments made and promises fulfilled. And I think that this is something that our community can be proud of. We have, along the way, consistently saved this community money by refunding our bonds at the tune of, I think I remember some extraordinary millions of dollars at our last board meeting. And we consistently run a conservative, financially responsible board to make sure that this can happen for our community. And I think this is a proud day for Clarkston to be able to say that we are finally on the last leg of this multi-year, multi-phased master plan approach.
Any other comments, Mr. Need?
Yeah, I echo Mrs. McGinnis's comments and also want to just affirm again that the proposal as presented calls for a zero mill net increase over the past year. So that was very important in my support of this proposal.
Okay. Mrs. McLean, may I have a roll call vote, please?
Mr. Need,
Yes.
Mrs. McGinnis,
Yes.
Mr. Heyer,
Yes.
Mrs. Egan,
Yes.
Mrs. Crane,
Yes.
Ms. Catalina, Mrs. Horst.
Yes. The motion carries.
I'd like to thank the Board of Education for the support. On behalf of our district, our administration, and our entire staff, we are all ready to move forward together, and we appreciate the support. And gosh, what a long road it's been already, and we're just getting excited to really gear it up. So thank you. Thank you very much.
All right, item 6.11 is approval of resolution authorizing additional kindergarten and Young Fives School of Choice students. May I have a motion, please?
I move that the Board of Education approves the resolution authorizing the open enrollment of waitlisted kindergarten and Young Fives students for the 2022-23 school year as presented.
Support. Any questions or discussion from the board or anything that the administration wants to say?
If I may, President Horst, I think this is just another sign from our community and our communities around us that Clarkson is a sought-after district, and that people want their children to come to our schools, and that our schools have something to offer people inside Clarkson and people outside Clarkson.
Thank you. Mrs. McLean, may I have a roll call vote, please?
Mrs. Crane,
Yes.
Mrs. McGinnis,
Yes.
Mr. Heyer,
Yes.
Mrs. Egan,
Yes.
Ms. Catalina, Mr. Need,
Yes.
Mrs. Horst.
Yes. The motion carries. Item 7 is report items. There are none. Item 8 is discussion items. There are none. Item 9 is citizen comments. Citizens are welcome to address the board on any topic at this point on the agenda. Mrs. Mahoney, would you mind taking a look at the sheet and see if we had any citizens sign up to address the board this evening? There are none tonight. Okay, thank you. Item 10 is information items. Our next Board of Education meetings are as follows. On Monday, August 22nd at 5:30, we will have a closed session for the annual evaluation of our superintendent. And our next regular board meeting will be Monday, September 12th at 7 p.m. This should be item 11 is adjournment. May I have a motion, please?
I move to adjourn.
Support. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion carries, and we are adjourned. Thank you, everyone.